Hello, everyone, and welcome to this first episode of the iWorkinSport Insider, brand new show. So you must be asking yourself, what is that? Well, the iWorkinSport Insider is a series that will give you an inside look at the hiring practices and employee experience at sports organizations from around the world. Basically, in each episode, we'll try to show you two things. One, what is it like to work for that company? And two, we'll give you some insider perspective from the recruiters themselves. And we hope that in case you're interested in a position with them, that information will help you in the selection process. By the way, this series live sessions will be available only to members of the We Work in Sports community. So if you want to participate in the next live session that will be with team marketing, go to weworkinsport.com and join the community for free, right? But this being the first episode, it's a special one. So we decided to stream it live on YouTube and on LinkedIn too. Also, it will be a different one than the rest. Normally, we'll cover one company per episode, and we'll talk about working for that company. Today, however, we're going to talk with representatives of two large companies operating in the sports and entertainment events space. We'll get to know better Elevate Global and On Location. So these companies are currently in the process of recruiting more than 2,000 people to work in the preparations and during the Paris 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. So would you like to work in the Olympics next year? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you're coming back, you'll know that I'll ask you that. Let me know where you're watching from. It's always good to know. And prepare your questions, okay? This meant to be an interactive session. So your participation is required, is encouraged. So be ready for that. Last but not least, On Location and Elevate will also be recruiting in person at the iWorkinSport job fair on June 2nd. You just saw a clip before that, 1 minute ago. If you'd like to register to that, there's a link in the description of the video with a discount code. And there's a discount code valid until the end of March, right? There's an early bird code there. So let me now bring my guests on. I'll start with Layla. Did it work? Let me get I need to get this button right. 1 second. Oh.
Hello.
There she is. Layla Evans, a senior project director and lead at Elevate Friends. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the show, the first one. So you're inaugurating this new series. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having us.
Great, great. I was supposed to be introducing Robert Wispelweij from On Location, but he's a bit late, but he will be with us shortly. Meanwhile, there's already some people saying hi, telling where they're from. Let me give you a sense to you who's there. So Adil Ibrahim in Trinidad and Tobago. Hey, Adil, good to see you. Who else? Traiche in Macedonia. Sorry if I murdered your name. No, Valon in London. Julie Reed in Paris. Yeah, keep saying hi, telling us where you're from. Who else is saying hi here? You see, that's an international crowd. Now,
Nice.
Hannah is in Belgium. Who else? MD is in Portugal. Yeah, thanks for being here with us. Who else is here? Sahil in India. I don't think we repeated any country yet, so very global. Well, it's Elevate Global, so it's it's good. It matches. Layla, well, first of all, thank you for being here. Maybe before we even start talking about Elevate, for us to get to know you a little better, could you tell us a bit about you, a bit about your career, how you actually started working in this field?
Sure. So I've actually been at Elevate for just over 2.5 years. And prior to that, I worked in lots of experiential agencies. So very creative background in terms of experience events. So, events you would go to where you would, feel something or engage with something or be part of the experience, whether it's marketing, a brand, or getting involved with a big festival and so forth. And that was about 10 years prior to me joining Elevate. And prior to that, for 10 years, I worked in the music industry. So a very sort of 360 of different careers there. However, the sort of main crux between the music industry, what I did there, and the marketing agencies that I worked is a very similar vein in that I managed something. So whether it's somebody as an artist or a project from A to B, I was still managing people, the actual a record launch, for example, or a festival or an event or a tour. The end result was making sure we got from A to B and how we would get there. So that's sort of, my career has always been around sort of management to some degree.
Great. And you're based in Paris now, but I hear a British accent. Is that correct?
Indeed. I actually live in London, but I
you're in London.
I travel back and forth for the lovely Paris office that we've got here. But primarily, I'm based in London because I live there. And I was working on an amazing project prior to this project, which was a haulier outreach program on behalf of the British government. And that was providing a huge service to hauliers, making sure they were very informed with the changes with Brexit and how they were getting in and out of the country. So I joined Elevate to join this particular project in the middle of the pandemic, when it was very sort of easy and chilled. It was not very easy and chilled. It was very, managing people remotely. I think we had about 45 at our peak of the project itself. And we had a remote field staff of very similar to what we're talking about shortly today with this project. And the height, we had about 1,500 field staff talking to, the hauliers day in, day out in the middle of a pandemic. So yes, I'm based in London, but I come back and forth to our lovely Paris office very frequently because the rest of the team are here, you see.
Yeah, definitely. Listen, so not many people might have heard of Elevate, nor on location yet. So I will ask you to tell us a bit more about the company. Before we do that, just to say hi, a few other people, shout outs to people who are saying hi. Sana in Paris. I think you'll know this one. Hi, Adam. Good to see you. Eduardo Serdan saying hi from Madrid, but says that he's happy to head to Paris soon. Good to know. Lucas Paisleni, greetings from Rio in Brazil, and also in Olympic City. Vishnu in London, Jesus in Rennes, and Enes Firmino in Lausanne. Again, very international. So could you tell us a bit more about Elevate?
Indeed. So
I do have a present. Do you want me to tell me when you want? We have some slides prepared. Call me.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could slides. Perfect.
I'll bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we wanted to describe what Elevate was in a very simple sentence, it would be that we connect people with brands, right? So we're providing the brands with the right people for the best experience. And by that, we mean that we are providing people. We're not a sort of recruitment agency. We're not of that level, but we are a people agency. And so if you go to the next slide, Joelle. We've actually been around for quite some time. We've been around for 17 years, and we are completely an independent agency. We've got eight offices now in 6 different markets, which is quite huge, and it shows how vast we are across the global network. Our main office and where we were born, if you like, is in London. We've got Paris, we've got Austria, Germany, and then across America as well. And we've got some more that we are potentially opening up so we can grow our lovely global network. So essentially what we provide is people, as I mentioned. We provide brand ambassadors, events managers, staff who work with brands. So essentially, when you want to show a brand face-to-face with a consumer, we are the people who actually talk to the consumers there and then, whether that might be with a brand like Coca-Cola or BMW or Meta. What we do is get our brand ambassadors to get completely immersed in the actual brand itself. So if I'll give you an example with BMW, they would actually go to the BMW office all the way wherever it is in the UK and fully immerse themselves in how the cars work, so that when they go to a car show and they're presenting BMW, for example, they can ask a question about, how fast does this car go? They're able to answer that question, not because they're selling the car per se, but they're selling the brand. And we're extremely passionate about matching brand ambassadors to a brand itself. So if you're really passionate about a car, for example, we want you to work on this amazing project because we know that you're connected to it. And so at Elevate, we really get to know brand ambassadors and event managers and our team, our staff really well, so we can actually understand what is it they're like, what they're really good at, and place them to the right brands. And when we talk about this project, we'll go into that in a bit more detail, but essentially we're about making sure that we train people accurately. We constantly do training. We're very passionate about D&I, which is a very important subject, especially in the UK and in France. By that, we mean diversity and inclusion. We welcome people with disabilities. We welcome us to sort of help you in this, in the work that we are doing to make sure that your work is comfortable when you do work for us, if you have got disability, for example. And we're constantly making sure that the staff are happy. So we do, incentives, and we make sure that they are connected with our staff here, our staffing managers and our staffing team. And we've been able to grow. So actually in the pandemic, when a lot of agencies were, quite slow and so forth, we were able to retain and grow our staff. And now we're at 37,000 brand ambassadors globally, wow, which is quite high and growing. Yeah. And we've won some awards as well along the way, which has been lovely to see. And just as a highlight of some of the brands we work with, this isn't by no means all of them, but just to highlight some. We worked at the 2012 British London Olympics, which obviously is amazing. It's given us a great platform for us to work on this wonderful project that we're going to be talking about in a minute. Formula One is an amazing project we worked in America. We're the retained agency for Meta. And the same for Givenchy, where we actually sell the product for them across multiple locations across the UK. And yeah, you can see some of the amazing brands we work with. There are some high-end, brands that we work very hard to work with. I mean, some of them we work with for years and years that have been with us forever. So it's been really nice.
Should I move to the next slide?
Sure. So a little bit more about where we're about. So essentially we do event management. From that we mean, providing a staff who might just be, welcoming someone into an event, or people who could be taking care of the full event management, whether that's production and so forth. Essentially we look after staff, so that might be the team manager is managing the rota and the breaks and so forth, and the logistics. So how do we get this production from A to B? How do we get all the sampling that we might need to give away? And how do we make sure that it's packed away at the end of the day, which obviously is quite important. And then something that's quite unique to Elevate is the event reporting. So you know, it's really difficult in the world of events to actually qualify and quantify how successful an event has been, because you could be, you know, at a mall, for example, and lots and lots of people are walking back and forth, but actually the amount of people you talk to versus the people who've seen you and sort of seen what you're doing is a very different a sort of amount to measure. So we've created a platform called Impact, where we're actually able to, you know, get the consumers to, the sort of brand ambassadors to speak to the consumers and extract really vital information from them without the age-old things you are when you're standing there with a clipboard and you're asking questions and asking them to tick one by one. Those days are gone now. So what we do is we train brand ambassadors to extract and just retain that information at the end of speaking to that consumer. We're able to say, this lady was, you know, a mother of two, and she's really interested in this product because it's going to help her, you know, getting her kids to sleep at night. I'm making up now, but you know what I mean? Like it's really important to take that information away and store it in our sort of platform that we can then share, most importantly with the client itself and the brand, so that they can feel that information that, you know, most of the consumers, for example, were between 18 and 24. Well, that means that the brand itself needs to maybe cater a little bit or tweak it. You know, the favorite color of the day or the smell, for example, was vanilla. Well, that means that, you know, that brand itself is doing well in that particular sense. So there's so much information and so much data that is raw and, you know, important to share with the brand and the consumer. And it's just about how, you know, our staff can collate that essentially.
Yeah. Let's see. Just a bit more. Do you want to stay here? Sorry that I'm moving the slides for you. Should I go to the next one? Or?
Yeah, you can go to the next slide. I think I said everything there. Yeah, I did touch on this before about D&I. It's such an important subject. You know, we are a wonderful, global, multifaceted world. And, you know, we have to represent that. You know, it's very, very important that our people show the plethora and the broadness of everyone that works and lives on this planet. So we're very, very passionate about that. The second thing we're really passionate about is our planet and looking after it. And so we do lots of things. For example, we plant trees on behalf of our clients and for ourselves to make sure that we're actually giving back to the environment as well. Extremely high about sustainability, about how we travel and how far we travel and is it necessary. You know, in the world of since the pandemic, we all know that we can work on Zoom and so forth, and we do very well. It's about looking after the planet so it looks after us too, and making sure that our goals are met for the client as well. So when we share a commitment, which we always do at the end of every connection with the client, we always say we're going to be commit to something, and we always make sure that we do fulfill that as well. So it's important for us to fulfill those three goals of our purpose. This is interesting. So I don't know if you're going to go into how we came together with On Location, but when we do get to it, we can go in a bit more detail. But I just wanted to show a couple of our recruitment adverts for the project that we're doing. And it's just created one of our guys internally, and it's a very, very different than left to right. You can see that this was around, you know, making a mark, and the guys, you know, playing a particular sport at the Olympics. And then on the right side, it's one of our, you know, potential brand ambassadors who is standing next to the Eiffel Tower, leading people, maybe guiding someone to the right direction, and so forth. And one actually on the right-hand side is an AI version. So that was being created completely by an AI, guided by one of our team internally here to create this wonderful image. And the reason we've done it very different, you know, left and right are very, very different adverts, is to try to connect with as many people who would like to come and join this project as possible. You know, it's trying to reach global people, trying to make sure that we reach people that, you know, will look and feel like them, that they want to apply for as well, is really important. So yeah, these adverts are live at the moment across all social networks and media. So hopefully some of the guys and girls who are on this call might recognize it.
Very well, very well. Thank you. By the way, we have Robert in the background, so I'm gonna invite him in. And yes, and then we can also talk about how you collaborate with On Location. I will invite Robert hope you're ready, Robert. We didn't test this before because we tested a few days ago, but not right now because you just got here. But let me call you. Yeah, there you are. Can you hear me?
Hello, everybody. Yes, loud and clear.
Hey,
Thanks
Robert.
for
Very
having me.
good.
I've been running around for the last 27 minutes with my laptop finding the right Wi-Fi connection, but I'm sure Layla did a good representation of the project already.
Very good, very good. So we took these first 15 minutes or so. We had a very good, outlook of what Elevate is. And maybe you can very briefly sort of introduce yourself to everybody who's watching. You missed it, but there's a list of people saying hi from all over the world. They told us where they are from. You can see in the comments there later on. But tell us a bit about you briefly, and also maybe about On Location, and then we can continue from there.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, João, and thanks for having us. My name is Robert Wispelweij. As you hear from my slight accent, I'm actually from Amsterdam in the Netherlands, but I live in Switzerland now for 20 years. I joined On Location 1.5 years ago, after having spent 16 years in football, in soccer for the US watchers and listeners. I worked 7 years for UEFA in Nyon, Switzerland, working on European Championships, Champions League, and Europa League finals. And then in 2016, I joined FIFA as the workforce responsible for the FIFA tournaments, and that's not only the men's and the women's final tournaments, but also the youth tournaments, the under 20, also beach soccer and futsal World Cups. And now, like I mentioned, 1.5 years ago, I joined On Location, first as a recruitment lead for the Paris office that On Location was setting up. And now as a director workforce operations within that team. And basically what On Location is doing, and probably Layla already told you a little bit about that. On Location is an exclusive hospitality provider for the Olympics, the coming 12 years at least. So whenever you want to buy a ticket for the Olympics, or when sponsors want to invite their guests to come to the Olympics, they obviously can go to the IOC, or actually the local organizing committee, to buy an individual ticket for any of the Olympic sports. But they can also, and probably even better, come to us and let us organize the whole travel package. So not only having a ticket for one of the Olympic events, but also have On Location organize their travel, their stay, their transportation on site. And that's what we are very good at. Also organize the hospitality on site or within the Paris city center. So that's basically what On Location does, and for that we have a team now on site in Paris. About 150 people on a full-time basis are working in the offices at the moment.
How many
and we
people
do
in the
need,
offices?
An additional between 100 and 150. Something like that. Obviously, you can imagine a big part of that is actually sales. So going towards the different stakeholders, the main sponsors, but also to the National Olympic committees. So in the 199, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 203 National Olympic and Paralympic committees. There are always sponsors of those Olympic committees as well that want to buy packages, or friends and families, for example, of the people that actually where it's all about, the supporters. the National Olympic Committees will want to invite those friends and families as well, well, they can do that through On Location as well.
Very good, very good.
I thought
so
you had...
Robert.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, I thought you had a question lined up, so that's why I stopped and took a breath.
No, yeah, I do, because I think it matches very much with the explanation that Layla just gave, and I think it's important to understand what's the relationship now between On Location and Elevate. Also, because why we're doing this program together, why also you're going together to the iWorkinSport job fair. So I think now we explained one company, the other, obviously there's similarities there, but maybe the two of you can explain the relationship between the two companies. Just before you do that, give me 1 second, because I'll give a shout out to just a few more people that are saying hi, and then you can have a sense where they're watching from. We have Danielle saying hi from Colombia. Who else? Yara in
Hello,
Egypt. Daniel. And Stephen in Zimbabwe. Yeah, and Lucas says, who already said hi from Brazil, says welcome to you. So very international crowd. Please explain to us, the relationship between Elevate and On Location.
Yeah, well, maybe I can start. So, well, first of all, the relationship is very good. We just had a very constructive and good meeting in the Paris 24 office. Yeah, so basically On Location, as some of you that might have Googled the company, is very strong in the US market. So it's not only hospitality at sporting events that On Location deals with, but also music festivals like Coachella, for example, big name, but also artists going on tour. In fashion, New York Fashion Week, On Location plays also a big role. But having said that, globally, they are not very well known yet. So like I mentioned in the beginning, On Location didn't have an establishment in Europe before getting or winning the Olympic bid. So we are building out this company globally. And as we didn't have any presence or any network within the European market, and especially not the French market, we were looking for a partner with a global presence, but especially with a presence here in the French market as well, and obviously knowledge and experience in dealing with this kind of mass sporting, but not necessarily sporting events, also other types of events. So we were looking for a partner, and then after a long and thorough search, we actually partnered up with Elevate, because we see the advantages of their presence in the local European market, and we see also a long-term potential partnership as well, because they are also present in some of the other markets that we will target very soon, like, for example, Italy and the US as well. Elevate is present as well. So it seemed a very logical step to go into this adventure together. I don't know if Layla wants to add something there.
Yeah, you summed up well. I think the only thing I was going to add to that was we're definitely looking for that sort of long-term relationship as well between us and you guys. It's something that's really important to Elevate, is, to have that sort of long-term connection, business partnership and so forth. It's something we love we see flourish and so forth as well. So it's nice that we were both in the same wavelength on that.
Well, that's great. Now that we understand both companies and the relationship between you two, announced, we talked this week, and you told me that you're hiring now. You're currently recruiting for more than 2,000 positions around the Olympic Games. Can you maybe give us an overview of those roles? For instance, is it necessary to speak French for all of them, or maybe not all of them? Give us a bit of more information about that. Obviously, there are different. There are 2,000 roles, but just an overview.
Layla, do you want to start?
Sure. So there's actually essentially 3 roles that we're hiring for, and we call them role 1, role 2, and role 3. But really, it's all down to experience. So if you have experience within the event world, we might position you in a role 1, for example, because you know how the event world works in terms of crowd control, maybe operational experience, or some form of travel or hospitality experience. There's also role 2, which is a little bit more in terms of the crowd as well, but not as intricate in terms of sort of team leader. So that'd be more like a brand ambassador. And then there's a 3rd role, which is a really important role, but it's very much in terms of, helping with directional and navigation, where, the people who are coming to these wonderful events and don't know which way to go and which time is what. And 3 different roles, but all different experience. It's all down to experience, really, is what the main thing at the moment that we're looking for. You don't necessarily have to be fluent in French. In fact, we talked about this today in our meeting, whether we don't have French at all for one of the roles, the 3rd role. For the team leader role, of course, you do need to learn. Need to have quite a decent amount of English, because there'll be lots of stakeholders, for example, coming to talk and understanding how to conversate with someone who's come from all the way from America, for example, is quite important for on location, certainly. But really what we're looking for, what we're seeking for when we interview these guys and girls, is energy. We want to show passionate people who absolutely love who they're working for, which essentially is Elevate and On Location, and who are absolutely so happy to be working at some level at the Olympics, whether that might be, making sure people are coming off to a different direction, or making sure that they're, getting through their travel properly, or it could be at the sort of far end of a stadium. Who knows? It doesn't matter, but they're still part of this wonderful experience together, that we're all making sure that we understand that every single person has a part to play across the entirety of the Olympics anyway. So We're looking for energy. When we screen these guys and girls, it's all about energy and how they present themselves, and how they would speak to a consumer, essentially, at the events itself. And when we screen them, which we do in quite detail, that's what we look for is the key.
Right. Listen, we already started to receive questions here. At least the first one arrived, and it's funny because it's exactly what I was going to ask. So well done. My question was, what are the opportunities for international workers, i.e. non-Europeans? That's when I received a message from Lucas saying an overview of visa requirements would be nice as well. So can you tell us a bit more about opportunities for international workers and this overview about visa?
Yeah, well, I think the requirement really is if you're able to sort of come here with accommodation and travel sorted, you're independently, and you're able to have work permits, so i.e. you're able to work here without having to have a visa or so forth, then you're more than welcome to apply.
Right. So the large majority of jobs are for people, say, from the European Union, who could easily work there. I suppose some maybe higher positions, director or something, you may be looking to sponsor visa or so. People coming from previous Olympic Games, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So like Layla said, we are talking, when we talk about the 2,000 people, we are talking about, the descriptions that Layla gave. On top of that, I mentioned already the team of between 100 and 150 that we will have on a longer term basis in our office here in Paris. Within that group, we coincidentally also have somebody from Brazil, and we will have more Brazilian people coming in because of their specialist expertise. They have done previous Olympics in their respective areas of expertise. So we make an effort to get that person over from wherever they are living. Like you mentioned, João, for some countries it's a little bit easier than for other countries. in the world, but we want to be an international team as well. So for the senior specialists that have done certain roles already before, yes, they can already apply to be part of the current team in the office. Plus, we also do have on-site positions for those people as well, where actually then the fact that they will get an accreditation for during the games here in France works as a work permit, as a visa actually. So for the positions or for the people that come in working for us for, well, let's say 6 weeks, 2 months, the visa is not so much the problem. Depending on where they come from, there is also a social security and a local legislation affiliation needed, and that's for some countries a little bit more difficult than for others. But the visa for really the games time positions is actually not necessarily the problem, because if we provide somebody with an accreditation, they are welcome to come to France.
Right. And are all positions in Paris or are nearby? For instance, are you recruiting people to work in the surfing, the surf venue, which would be far away? That as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would have hired you as well. After Layla and me, you would be the third person from On Location working there. There we actually don't have any positions, but we do have positions outside of Paris. Especially Lille, you can imagine, because there are some big sports that are played in and around Lille as well. But also in Marseille, where it's not only the football, the soccer, but also some sailing is going on in Marseille. So we will have activation there as well. And basically in every host city in principle where football, soccer is played. But that would then only be on match days. So for some, that means only 3 matches over a 2-week, 1.5 week period. So it's limited. But basically, if you take the map with all the venues in France, basically we would have activation everywhere in every host city.
Okay. Well, you know, I told you beforehand that I have several questions lined up. I prepare for this, but I try to give priority to the audience. And Yara here is asking a very interesting question, actually. Thank you, Yara. Are most of the roles dedicated to crowd management and hospitality packages, or do you also have vacancies in other departments like media operations?
Yeah, no, Yara, very good question indeed. But 80%, if not even more, are more in the hospitality and in the operations and the management of guests coming to Paris in whatever way or form. So it can be a welcome desk position, it can be a wayfinder position. Transportation, obviously, for us is a big one. Everything related to transportation, from dispatchers, so putting guests into, putting people in cars, that doesn't sound so nice, but matching a car to a guest, etc., etc. Media or broadcasting, it's something completely outside of our scope. So we are not dealing with those kind of positions. No.
Thank you. Another very good question that just arrived. Hane Hassani, thank you for the question. What does the recruitment process look like? Are there entry-level positions? Can you tell us a bit more like that? Also, maybe from even like the time frame, once you post a position there, how long normally it's stay out there for people to apply, then the time that it takes to get a reply, perhaps an interview, how many interviews are there, a bit more about that.
Well, Layla, that's your specialty again.
So we have had a landing page live since the end of December. And the landing page is where people will initially go to, everybody goes to this page, depending on whichever level you want to apply for, everybody goes to the same page, which is essentially a really quick, a few questions, sort of questionnaire in terms of how interested are you and which level you might be interested in. And ask questions.
There's a link in the, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, just so you know, I put the link for that landing page in the description of the video, so people can check that later and go see it.
Superb. And so that also includes the dates, for example, because we need people to be working at the entirety of the actual Olympics. It's really important that we don't lose people halfway through if you've got holidays, for example. So there's a few sort of checkpoints that you want people to answer before they go through to the next level, if you like. The process then is that one of our staffing executives will then contact them, and they'll start to do a screening process. And by that we mean they'll speak to them on the phone first and just, understand that they're a real person, not a robot, that they have actually written, everything so far accurately. They have got the right to work. They will be there, the dates that we've said. And then we start to do a bit more of an interview section with them. So it's more around what experience they have. Can they tell us a bit more about them? And then when they go through that stage, then we ask them to also provide a video. And that's where they can come alive and actually sell themselves. And we need them to sell themselves and want to share with people, from a location. Robert, for example, absolutely sees pretty much every single profile, but we can't explain every profile. So this video alongside the profile is really the selling point for Robert and on location team to feel and see, every single person that is applying.
So,
and so then,
excuse me. So just for me to understand. So during the interview process, if they are at a certain stage in the interview, they actually are required to record a video that you receive. So is that the first interview? So that's automated or something like that?
No. So if we have decided that we want to continue with them, and they're fantastic, we love them. They've got great energy. They've got really good hospitality experience and so forth. And so we've gone through the next round. Then they create an interview, a video profile alongside their profile creation on our website platform, so they can create exactly what experience they've got. This again allows Robert and the on location team to be able to view, okay, so they've got experience here and there, they've worked for so and so, they are whatever details of their sort of career almost, and that video sits alongside their profile on a platform that we've created called One CRM. So it's basically like a directory that we've created in order for On Location to see every single person that we put forward, in order to see where On Location will then see, okay, this person here has really got specific experience within hospitality and has got loads of experience for many years, and therefore he'll be a role 1, for example. And so you're able to then see through the catalogue and the directory of these amazing people that we've then put forward to On Location to view.
Okay. Curiosity that I have. So how easy or difficult is it for you to find good contacts? Because I imagine there's so many people that would love to work for the Olympic Games, but then again, it's 2,000 plus positions that you have to fill. So are you getting like enough? How difficult or easy is it to fill those positions?
I mean, we've been live only a couple of months, really, because we've only put the landing page live really sort of end of December for it to be people to click onto and really apply. But we've had an amazing amount of people who actually wanted to be part of it. It's whether we see them have the right experience, or maybe don't speak really well enough English for us, for example, for that particular role. But we have enjoyed seeing everybody, because we know that there's so many people who want to be part of the actual Olympic Games to some degree. So yeah, we make sure we give every single candidate exactly the same screening and experience from wherever they've come from.
And would you say that the majority of positions are for games time? Like, is that 1 month before? Is that 3 months before? Is that during the games? or are there many that are, from a year before the games and until then? What can you tell us about that?
It's just the live. We're just looking for people who actually work at the live events. So we'll do some training. We'll do 2 or 3 days training before the actual live, but it's the actual the Olympics itself. So it's next year, next summer.
Okay. So they enroll now to be there during the games. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right. And good to know that. And normally you take them, is that then is it a 2 weeks sort of contract, is it a month's contract, or is that more like a freelance type of thing? Are there sort of social benefits? Are they actually hired by Elevate, I would say? Technically, can you give us a bit more information on how that works?
So they will be contracted by Elevate, because we will be essentially making sure that the finance team go through payroll, for example, to pay them. The total amount of days, I actually cannot remember off the top of my head, but it's about 2.5 weeks, somewhat of that. Robert might be able to confirm that. But there's everything, things like, travel, lunch, for example, is covered here as well. And we are paying quite a competitive pay rate, pretty much above average for this sort of particular work, because we really want to make sure that we're rewarding all our staff who are actually working in the event. And yeah, it's going to be amazing.
So the great thing is that maybe people didn't realize is that there are many opportunities that people that have their own jobs now, they don't need to quit. They just need to take a few days off.
Yeah.
The Olympics period, and because I think people just think of that period maybe as working as volunteers, which can be a great experience as well. But if you have those type of paid jobs, it's even better, I would say. So great to know that.
Exactly. So that's where I would like to add indeed on the question: are there entry-level positions? Yeah, these are the best entry-level positions. If you still can keep your daytime job and you take basically 6 weeks of holiday, or it's even a little bit less, and you are part of one of the biggest sporting events in the world, and build up like that your CV. I'm not saying this is a guarantee but it's at least a foot in the door. So if you haven't been able to earn money and have a job at a mega sport event, then these are the typical ideal entry-level positions. Like you mentioned, you can also volunteer, of course, which is for some also a great opportunity to start working at these kind of events. But I would say let's try to get the positions at Elevate or on location, so you even get paid for it.
Right, but am I wrong, Robert? Because I seem to have seen some positions that would say some manager roles, that kind of thing, posted by On Location, that I understood that would be a longer sort of term, perhaps working for On Location as well. So you have those types of openings too, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I mentioned before, On Location is a global, well-established company, part of the Endeavor Group, which is an even bigger company. And obviously, on a daily or at least weekly basis, we have new positions coming up. Let's say in our headquarters, not only here in Paris but also in other locations as well. And there are also positions that are completely dedicated to the Olympics, also based in the US, right, for example, but also in other countries. So, for example, what I mentioned before, the international relations team, they have people all over the world. And those positions are published on the On Location website.
Just before the examples, because actually we want to go back to that, but I promise to give Layla a hard stop because I know she has an appointment. So perhaps I can ask her just one more thing. And then, Robert, you got here a bit late, so I'll ask you to stay a little longer. Is that okay? Do you have a few more minutes?
No problem at all. With pleasure. No problem.
Okay, so Layla, last one for you, so you can leave right after that. I had a few, But let's go with CV. So when they apply, they actually have to upload a CV as well in the process, where just they need to fill in the answers.
Exactly. They fill in a form essentially and give all the details that they want to give in terms of themselves, their experience, where they've come from, what their career aspect, a little bit about them as well, to get to understand. But they fill that in all. Once they get through the landing page, they go to another platform, which is called the One CRM.
Do you require a cover letter?
No. They can give us as much information on their own when they write their profile. I mean, sometimes you would think that a little bit of a cover letter aspect is on there, but the profile is really where they talk about themselves. What's amazing about them.
Right, and there are some positions where they will actually have one-to-one interviews with you.
Yeah, all of our interviews are either one-to-one or a collective group, but majority of the screening is always one-to-one. So we always do screening to make sure that they are who they say they are and have an interview with them one-to-one anyway. And actually, when they go on to the second interview with On Location's team, is either going to be the role 1, which is obviously going to be the most experienced, is one-to-one, but the role 2 and role 3 will be in group batches. So there'll be opportunity for, say, Robert to meet 4 people at the same time on Zoom, and have an idea of their personality together in one go. Because obviously we have for the client to talk to.
So before you go, just for the people that are watching us now that will watch the replay as well, if they go and apply and get to an interview with you, can you give one tip for them to perform well in an interview? Is that one advice for them to do well in an interview with Elevate?
I think my one advice that's really key is to show your passion, your energy and your passion, to really show yourself and your true, authentic self. If you are a super bubbly, very welcoming person, and really portray that and make sure that comes across, because it's important for us to see that on the tiny little screen that you'll be sharing on the video. And good luck.
All right. Listen, thank you so much. I will let you go. As promised, we'll continue with Robert a little longer. But thank you so much for being part of this. You're here in the first iWorkinSport Insider. I hope that went well for you. For us, I think went really, really well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye-bye. Let me remove her. Robert. So let's continue a bit more, if you can, maybe 5 minutes or so.
No problem whatsoever.
Tell us a bit more then about what is it like then to work for On Location? We've been covering a lot of positions at the Olympic Games, for the Games, what you're hiring for, those 2,000 plus positions. But then there's a few. So can you give us a sense of how many openings for On Location are there at the moment? And then what's then the recruitment process like? What's the process for someone that would like to work with you? And I think the key question is, why would someone that is watching us now want to work for On Location?
Yeah, no, very good questions. Where shall I start? Well, first of all, maybe I start with where are the positions published. So it's On Location website. So onlocation.com, you will find a wealth of positions all across the world. Big number of them are actually in our US-based offices, but you will also find the fixed positions in Paris, for example, or all across the world. So that's the where do you find them, in all kind of areas, from finance, accounting, obviously, workforce, HR, but also the operational, the product, etc., positions. So yes, worthwhile to have a look at. Why would you go there, and why would you want to especially, I think, work on location at this moment? It's just that On Location goes through a very, very interesting phase at the moment. So they have made a bit in 2021 to be the exclusive hospitality partner for the IOC. So then I also answer the question from Eduardo from before. Just a little bit of background: the IOC, as the rights holder, has shifted the responsibility of organizing the Olympics to the LOC. So that is the first step. And then we came in actually not as a partner of the LOC, but we were directly contracted by the IOC to sell the hospitality packages. So for some people that know a little bit the background about this, is before there were individual companies split per region, a little bit per target group, that were selling tickets and hospitality. Well, the IOC has decided to move away from that model and to have a long-term vision. So not to assign the rights to just one partner, that would already have been great, but no, also to do it for the coming 12 years. We relationships with our clients who are indeed also the sponsors of the different NOCs, NPCs, I also have to mention, and with our own partners as well. So some companies that do not necessarily want to buy for Paris might be interested in the Winter Olympics in Milano, for example. So we should not drop them because they invest in that relationship on a long-term basis, because they might go to Milan or to LA afterwards. And this is something we also do from a human resource point of view. So that means that a part of the people that we are hiring now for Paris, we take on the journey with us as well. So we take them not only on the Olympic venture, we also take them on all the other on-location activities across the globe. I just came back from 3 weeks in Phoenix working on the Super Bowl, for example, because we manage a lot of the staff over there as well. We will have
Very
the
cool.
Ryder Cup this year, September, in Rome, for example. People that we are hiring for Paris will potentially also be involved in the other activities up to Paris, but also afterwards. I do want to mention that obviously the numbers that were mentioned before, 2,000 or the 150 in the Paris office, a part of those people, a big part, I would even say, are just hired to deliver a job in Paris, because we can't take everybody on that journey. But if you're an Italian listening in this evening and you think, I'm interested in Milano, maybe it's a very good moment already now to start also looking, could I work as an entry-level position in Paris already, so I have more chances. So I think this is a very good decision of the IOC to have a long-term and a more perspective approach to organizing the game. So I can only applaud that.
Right. No, I think
for us, it's very important as well, because the systems that we are implementing to capture the interest of all these people that you mentioned who are enthusiastic and who want to be part of that Olympic team as well, we want to take those people also on that journey, and we can only do that if we have the right systems in place as well. So whatever we are investing now in the Paris Games, we will also use the same systems for the other on-location activities as well. Well, and working in a company like that is well, at least for me, it's a big pleasure, because it does give you the ability to really be part of the development of the company and to bring us to the next decades at least.
Great. Thank you, Robert. And Eduardo is also saying thank you. I agree with him. Very exciting sports events worldwide. you're working in many of them. Just maybe to wrap up a few a bit more information about on location. So of the positions that are not necessarily linked to the Paris Games, so maybe more general, working 2 or 3 events, how many of those openings you have at the moment? More or less.
Yeah, when I mentioned the US positions, I cannot give you a number, but it's dozens. We have so much positions open at different, again, of course, On Location is a very interesting company as such already, with all the sport events like you mentioned, but we are part of this bigger company, Endeavor, and Endeavor brings under one umbrella a lot of different entertainment businesses, from the music side, like I mentioned, Coachella, but also artist management, to the modeling, the fashion side of things. And the interesting thing, having all of that under one umbrella, is that we at our events can those different elements together in our corporate and business hospitality packages as well.
And what about for positions in Europe?
It's such a big company that we have on a regular basis. We have dozens of positions open.
Okay. And there are some in Europe as well?
Yeah. No, there definitely are. We have just opened up actually also our entity in Milan, but under that Endeavor umbrella, we have a sister company. It's called IMG. Some of you might have heard about them, and if I'm not mistaken, they will be also present at the next iWorkinSport, or at least they were.
Hopefully, we haven't announced anything about that yet, but well, we're hoping to have them there with us. Yes.
But IMG, especially in London, they have also quite a lot of positions open in music, in artist management, but also in let's say the back office positions like finance, HR, services in general.
Great. Robert, thank you so much. I think this was super useful, especially, I mean, in many ways, I think elevates an On Location. I got to know On Location, I think, last year through you. I mean, talking to you even before the job fair last year, and then Elevate, I got to know a few months ago. And I've been working with sports so many years and still sort of learning of how, the cogs, turn and the wheels turn and how they function. So it's really important to be aware of all these connections and where the opportunities are. And I think this is exactly what we want to do with this iWorkinSport Insider. So we had the opportunity to talk to you, talk to Layla, who are responsible for bringing in so many people to work in those companies. This was excellent. Was exactly what I had in mind. I hope that people that are still sort of watching us now liked it. If you didn't, if you're watching on YouTube, can you actually hit that like button? I forgot to ask. and also leave the comments. I would like to invite everyone that is here to join the iWorkinSport community. These shows, these programs, the Insider, Robert, I explained at the beginning, they will be shown exclusively in that platform from the next onwards. We'll do the next one on the 11th of April. I will probably go in person at Team Marketing. So I'm really looking forward to that. And but you were in the first episode, so that's great. You were in the first iWorkinSport job fair in 2017.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted
with FIFA at the time, and now you're in the first iWorkinSport Insider. Let's see which first you'll be next.
Exactly. No, it's definitely, it was my pleasure speaking to you, João, and getting this opportunity on behalf of On Location to promote our organization. And I do hope to see some of you, and I see already Enes, who is going to apply for one of our positions. So I do hope to see some of you here in Paris or at any other On Location event anytime soon.
Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Hene. Adil is also sending a message. Thank you, brother. I hope to see you soon. Robert, thanks again. Stay there, don't go anywhere. I'm just going to finish the broadcast. And everybody, hope to see you soon. By the way, for those who are still here, tomorrow we have a live session, the iWorkinSport office hours with Dominique Gobat. We already received a couple of questions. If you have questions, send that to us as well. That's a session just to talk to you, answer your questions, to give you career advice. Bye-bye, everyone. People are saying hi, Jesus, Ana, Rene. I hope I say your name correctly. Bye-bye, everyone. See you soon.
Thank
ciao,
you,
ciao.
guys. Hope to see you in Paris. Bye-bye.